Walk with me through the halls of the Comic Kingdom. Marvel had a Spider-Woman before Jessica Drew. I absolutely love the Jessica Drew version of Spider-Woman. She was one of my childhood crushes. The skin-tight red and yellow costume, the long black hair, yowza. Not to mention that her comics were entertaining. Everyone refers to this version of Spider-Woman as Marvel's first, but was she? The answer is no. There was a Spider-Woman before Jessica Drew, and chances are you know nothing about her. But before I start, a little background. Back in 1971, a children's show called The Electric Company premiered on PBS. It was an awesome show that taught kids how to read, and surprisingly, it appealed to adults almost as much as kids. Seriously, even if you are an adult learning how to read, this show will help you. Right out the gate, the show was a hit. How could it not be with such an excellent cast including Morgan Freeman, Rita Moreno, Bill Cosby, and so many others? But it got its greatest shot of popularity in 1974 when they added Spider-Man to the cast. Huh? What now? In the fourth season, something new was added. They hired a man named Danny Segrin to play Spider-Man in live-action comedy skits. This was, in fact, the first live-action version of Spider-Man. It was a peculiar portrayal of Spider-Man. He didn't say a word. To follow the funny stories, you had to read Spidey's thought bubbles. Also, Spider-Man never took off his mask. It was like pantomime, but it was cool pantomime. At that time, superheroes in live action had not been done to death. Seeing Spider-Man on TV was quite novel. Even today, these skits are enjoyable because there's a nicety to them. The Electric Company got the rights to do Spider-Man for nothing. No money. That's hard to process in our minds these days. But Marvel was smart back then. If they let the Electric Company do Spider-Man for free, they could create a comic book that tied into the series. That's just what they did with Spidey Super Stories, named after the skit in 1974. The comic book series was a big hit, outlasting the TV show by 5 years. And it's easy to understand why. It was purposely written to be easy to read, so kids ages 6 to 10 could follow the stories no problem. It was not at all canon to the rest of the Spider-Man comics. Spider Super Stories was unto itself. It was really an Electric Company comic book series, as it included the characters from the show. Unlike the Spidey TV skits, it also included other familiar characters from Spider-Man's comics. He talked in this comic book series, and he took off his mask so we knew it was Peter Parker. The concept of this comic series is that Spider-Man was, in fact, a cast member of the Electric Company, and much of what takes place happens when the cameras aren't rolling. In that regard, the skits you see on the TV show were, according to this comic, just skits that Spider-Man was playing in. In issue number 11, from 1975, a new character called Spider-Woman was introduced. Spider-Man loses one of his costumes. It was found by Valerie the Librarian, a character played by actress Hattie Winston on the show. I really like Hattie Winston as an actress. I've seen her in so many other TV shows and movies. Her most popular role would be Margaret on the sitcom Becker, where she was absolutely hilarious. Back in the 1970s, Hattie was a young knockout, so she could be reasonably made into a superheroine. Her Valerie character alters Spider-Man's costume to fit and calls herself Spider-Woman. And, of all things, she helped Spider-Man defeat the Vulture, one of Spidey's fiercest foes. However, after her and Spidey's successful battle, Valerie decides to give up the exciting life of a crime fighter and return to being a librarian. That's right, Valerie. Stick to your knitting. Although this was a light-hearted, almost Archie Comics type superhero saga, I thought how they did Spider-Woman was very clever and amusing. When Marvel created their next Spider-Woman in 1977, it was really a rush job so they could secure the character name. They didn't want DC or any other publisher coming up with a Spider-Woman character and beating them to the punch. Although Spider-Woman was a hot-looking character, she had one big problem. No real direction. Every few issues, Spider-Woman's saga would be retooled, making it kind of hard to follow if you missed an issue here or there. And she had very little to do with Spider-Man, other than a name and the occasional team-up. Where Spider-Man became a very established brand, Marvel has always struggled with Spider-Woman. There have been a number of different Spider-Woman characters in their comics, with the most successful, so far, being the version right after Jessica Drew, named Julia Carpenter. But it all really started back in 1975, with Valerie the Librarian being a novice partner to Spider-Man. The Valerie the Librarian version of Spider-Woman is a delightful addition to the Comic Kingdom.